This video is going to detail for you exactly how to name acids. This is one of the large topics that we've covered first semester, and now we're going to be using these a lot second semester when we're balancing equations and doing stoichiometry. So first of all, let's just review the two different types of acids that we've talked about last semester. First of all, one of them is called an oxyacid. That's an acid that contains oxygen. The second one is called a binary acid, and that's an acid that contains hydrogen and one other element, or it could contain a polyatomic ion that doesn't have oxygen in it. When we write the acid formulas, remember that they're all going to start with hydrogen, then they are followed by some other element or a polyatomic ion, and you just have to use the oxidation numbers for those in order to determine the formula for the particular acid. So here you can see that we have some polyatomic ions. We've got persulfate, SO5 minus 2, sulfate, sulfite, and hyposulfite. When we write the acid names, then what we end up doing is we change these endings to something else. So if it's an 8, it's going to get changed to an ic, and if it's an ite, it's going to get changed to an os. So here are the formulas for each of these acids, and you can see that there's a 2 down here. That's because the oxidation number for each of these was a minus 2. So we swap and we bring that oxidation number down here for our hydrogens so that our charges will balance. So like I was saying, when we write the acid name, we're going to change this 8 ending here. If it has an 8, we're going to change that 8 ending to an ic. So when we go over and we write the acid names, we're going to change those to ic. If it ends in ite, then we're going to change that ite to an os, O-U-S. Okay, so let's look at an example here for persulfate then. When we're writing persulfate, we come over here, we've changed that 8 to an ic, so it becomes persulfuric acid. Again, this 8 is going to change to an ic, so this one's going to be sulfuric acid. Like I said before, if it's an ite, it's going to change to an os, so this will be sulfurous acid. And again, this is an ite, so it's going to change to an os, so all we do is change that ending, and this becomes hyposulfurous acid. Binary acids are another type of acid that we have looked at, and with binary acids, remember that they always begin with the prefix hydro and they end in ic. Remember, if it starts with hydro, it has no O. That means that it doesn't have oxygen in its formula. So here are a couple examples. Hydrosulfuric acid would be H2S. Again, sulfur has a -2 for an oxidation number, so that's where that subscript 2 comes from. Hydrobromic acid would be HBr. So those are a couple examples of binary acids. So pause the video, see what you can do for these, see if you can come up with a formula for these, and then start the video back up, and I will show you the answers for those in just a second. Okay, I hope you were able to determine what those answers would be for these. First one would be hydro, it has no O, remember that. So hydrochloric would be HCl. Hydrocyanic, you might have had a little bit of trouble with that one because cyanic is actually cyanide, and that one is not, it doesn't have oxygen here. And if you remember from our discussions, binary acids that contain hydrogen and one other element or a polyatomic ion without oxygen. And cyanide is an example of that. So this one would be HCN. Carbonic acid, then, the ic would have come from an 8 ending, because remember, if you ate too much, you would get sick. So that's how you remember that, 8 and ic. So carbonic acid here would come from carbonate, and that's the CO3. So that got carbonic acid. Hydrophosphoric, hydro, there is no O, so hydrogen and phosphorus. Phosphorus has a -3 for its oxidation number, so that's where that 3 comes from. And then chromic acid would come from chromate, IC8. So CrO4 is the formula for chromate. So I hope that this has helped you. If you have any questions, please feel free to stop in and get some help. Thanks.